Joe Rogan's pyramid claims debunked by Egyptologist Zahi Hawass. Get ready for a heated clash at the crossroads of archaeology and popular culture. A renowned Egyptologist is blasting Joe Rogan's controversial theories about the pyramids, and the debate is dividing opinions worldwide. So, what's really behind the headlines? And is there any truth to the wild claims swirling online? Let's unravel the story. The core of the controversy. Recently, Zahi Hawass, a well-known Egyptian archaeologist and the former Minister of Antiquities in Egypt, publicly criticised Joe Rogan after Rogan's much-discussed podcast episode on ancient Egypt was released. This 2-hour segment, broadcast on May the 14th, drew over 1 million YouTube viewers and sparked a firestorm of debate about the origins of Egypt's monumental pyramids. But here's where it gets controversial. Hawass insists there is overwhelming archaeological proof that Egyptians built the pyramids, while Rogan continues to entertain alternative theories, including the possibility of aliens playing a role. Following his guest appearance on Rogan's show, Hawass vented his frustration in an interview with the New York Post. He didn't mince words, declaring, "It was the worst interview of my life." He went on to say that Rogan ignored the evidence that was presented, instead steering the conversation toward the same speculative theories Hawass has spent years refuting. Digging deeper into the clones. Here's the part most people miss. The controversy isn't just about ancient history. It cuts to a deeper debate over expertise and the influence of popular media. During their discussion, Hawass presented extensive archaeological findings, such as artifacts and construction evidence supporting that the ancient Egyptians alone constructed the pyramids, with no assistance from extraterrestrials or mysterious lost civilizations. Yet, Rogan openly declared on his show and in later comments that Hawass was acting as a closed-minded gatekeeper. Rogan even quipped, "This might have been the worst podcast I've ever done, but maybe a good one too." So, what exactly set Hawass off? Rogan referenced a controversial study involving the Caffrey project, where synthetic aperture radar technology was used to scan under the pyramids. The Italian researchers involved in this project claimed to have identified deep vertical shafts, sometimes called vertical cylinders, more than 2,000 feet underground. While the findings were published and widely shared online, they have not undergone peer review, and Hawass dismisses them outright as fake news. He further argued, if aliens had built the pyramids, we would have found some physical evidence of their tools be present in the ground. And after decades of excavation, I have found nothing of the sort. But the story doesn't end there. Rogan doubled down after Hawass's scathing remarks, poking fun at him on a subsequent podcast episode, and suggesting that Hawass had discovered everything basically. He's the best. On social media, battles have broken out between supporters of mainstream archaeology and those who believe in alternative, even conspiratorial explanations for Egypt's mysteries. A call for critical thinking and maybe a little homework. In discussing the fallout, Hawass lamented that Rogan hadn't done proper research, contrasting his approach to that of other interviewers. "When I talked to Piers Morgan, he did his homework. Joe Rogan did not," Hawass told reporters. The Egyptologist maintains that skepticism about Egypt's ancient builders is unfounded and based more on internet speculation than solid evidence. But here's where you come in. Do you think traditional archaeology is too quick to shut down unconventional ideas? Or are shows like Rogan's fueling misinformation about world history? Are there questions that mainstream scholars aren't willing to entertain? Or does science already have this mystery solved? Let's open up the comments for your thoughts, whether you stand with Hawass, Rogan, or somewhere in between. Remember, the debate over who built the pyramid is far from settled in the public imagination, even if archaeologists insist otherwise. So, what's your take? Is there room for more investigation, or is it time to put the wild theories to rest? Sound off below and join the conversation. The real Indiana Jones. Dr. Zahi Hawass reveals his adventures. Imagine if the swashbuckling adventures of Indiana Jones weren't just the stuff of Hollywood dreams, but were inspired by a real-life archaeologist. Well, it turns out that's not too far from the truth. Dr. Zahi Hawass, a renowned archaeologist, has revealed that he was the muse behind the iconic character. In a candid chat with the New York Post, Hawass shared that he had a sit-down with George Lucas, the mastermind behind the Indiana Jones saga, and regaled him with tales of his own thrilling escapades. Lucas, captivated by Hawass's stories, wove them into the fabric of a fictional adventurer that would become a pop culture icon. Hawass confirmed, "It's absolutely true. Yes, that is entirely true. He's the living embodiment of Indiana Jones, minus the whip and fedora. Or is he?" The archaeologist divulged that he met with Lucas after the film series had already taken the world by storm, and Lucas was astounded by Hawass's own celebrity status. "We had dinner in Cairo, and he jokingly told me that my hat is more famous than Harrison Ford's hat from the movie," Hawass recounted, adding with a chuckle, "And I reminded him that my hat is a real archaeological hat and Harrison's is a fake one." While Hawass may not have faced off against bandits or cursed artifacts like his on-screen counterpart, his life has been far from risk-free. "I have seen some real danger," he admitted. "Sometimes, when I'm on an excavation, I think, this may be it. There's a great amount of danger. I've scaled roads down into shafts that haven't been entered in thousands of years, and it isn't lost on me that this isn't entirely safe. I often think, well, if this roach snaps, that's the end of me." Hawass dreams of teaming up with Harrison Ford, the actor who brought Indiana Jones to life, for a show that would unravel the mysteries of the pyramids. "Well, hopefully Harrison Ford and I will have our moment soon," he mused. "Leslie Greif, a big Hollywood producer, wants me to do a show with Mr. Beast, but I told him I need Harrison Ford. Can you imagine that? Dr. Zahi Hawass and Mr. Harrison Ford revealing the secrets of the Great Pyramid together. Billions of people would tune in. Who wouldn't want to watch that?" Who knows? Perhaps the fictional and real-life Indiana Jones will join forces, blending the lines between reality and fiction in a way that only archaeology can. Stay tuned for what could be the ultimate crossover event in the world of archaeology and adventure. Joe Rogan versus Zahi Hawass. The Pyramid and Alien Theories Showdown. Archaeologist opens up about his disagreement with Joe Rogan regarding alien involvement in pyramid construction. When it comes to celebrity encounters, Dr. Zahi Hawass, a prominent archaeologist, has had his fair share of challenging interactions. But his clash with Joe Rogan stands out as particularly contentious. Both men have labelled their interview as the most frustrating experience they have ever faced. The core of their disagreement revolves around the controversial theory that extraterrestrials may have played a role in the construction of the pyramids. In a candid conversation with the New York Post, Hawass firmly dismisses the alien hypothesis, arguing that it lacks credible evidence and criticizing Rogan for entertaining such ideas. Hawass stated, "I am open to new discoveries, but I need to see the evidence first. I receive numerous emails from individuals who believe I am concealing information. I understand their perspective. Standing before the Great Pyramid for the first time can be overwhelming. It's hard to fathom that such a monumental structure was built by humans. Who would mobilize 10,000 workers daily for 28 years to create something so grand? It seems almost absurd. However, this was a national endeavor involving the entire population." While Hawass is willing to consider the possibility that aliens could have constructed the pyramids, he emphasizes that no evidence has been presented to support this claim. He elaborated, "If aliens were responsible for building the pyramids, we would expect to find some trace of their presence in the ground. After decades of excavating in Egypt, I have uncovered nothing that suggests anything other than human involvement. Yet we have figures like Joe Rogan promoting these theories." Hawass expressed his frustration with Rogan during their interview, noting that he felt Rogan had not adequately prepared for their discussion. He remarked, "When engaging in an interview, one anticipates that the other party has done their research. For instance, when I spoke with Piers Morgan, he was well prepared. Joe Rogan, on the other hand, did not seem to have done his homework." A significant point of contention arose when Rogan referenced Italian researchers who claimed to have discovered vertical cylinders buried 20,000 feet beneath a pyramid. Hawass countered. He mentioned these Italians who supposedly found 8 pillars 600 feet below the Khafre pyramid. The technology they employ, synthetic aperture radar tomography, can only penetrate about 15 meters or roughly 60 feet underground. It is impossible for it to detect anything at a depth of 600 feet. If their findings were valid, why haven't they approached us to discuss their research? Why announce their discovery in a pay-to-publish journal? That raises questions about the credibility of their claims. Clearly, there is no love lost between Hawass and Rogan, and their debate highlights the ongoing tension between established archaeological perspective and sensational theories. What do you think? Is there any merit to the idea that aliens could have been involved in the construction of the pyramids? Or is it purely a product of imagination? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You might also like